Hey all, and welcome back to Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. Today, we're actually going to a special festive world. And no, it's not Easter themed, and it's not country themed, so thankfully there's no Home on the Range adaptation here. No indeed, we're actually going to a world based on a good movie. This is Halloween Town, based, of course, on The Nightmare Before Christmas, that early 90s classic stop-motion film by Tim Burton and also Henry Selick. The second one of those people always leave out. It's not strictly a Tim Burton film, okay? Okay, I've said my piece. Spar, what do you think about the original film, mate?
Well, this is one that I haven't seen, much like many of the other inclusions from Disney in Kingdom Hearts 1. I went back and thought about it earlier, and there's very little from this game that I actually remember watching before playing the game, so maybe I should go back and take care of some of those. Maybe
so, mate, maybe so. I wonder if there was like a lot of confusion about Nightmare Before Christmas's inclusion. Nice little rhyming scheme there. Before the game came out, I wouldn't know, of course, because I didn't follow like any of the trade magazines at the time. And I wasn't really, like, internet-based at the time like I would be nowadays, so I wasn't really... I didn't have my ear to the ground, so to speak. But, it's not too crazy. Like, obviously, Touchstone Pictures, which I believe are now defunct, and Buena Vista are owned by Disney. They are Disney subsidiaries, so, it counts.
Yeah, they count as Disney products, and Disney did re-release the movie under their own banner, separate from Touchstone later on, so it does still count as a Disney product, even if you leave that out of the equation.
Here he is, the lad, the man himself, the king of Hot Topic, Halloween Town, and just Halloween in general as a subject, Jack Skellington!
Very cool design. Even without seeing the original movie, I love Jack Skellington.
Yeah.
He's just so cool, both in design and, you know, just mannerisms, I guess.
And he is a great party member, especially in 2, where he excels at, like, magic use and whatnot. So I'm sorry, Donald, but you can get the fuck out of the party. It's not our fault that, you know, we couldn't use, like, Disney characters and, well... kind of redundant to say. Let's say Disney characters and Disney characters who happen to come from Disney Castle until Kingdom Hearts 3. That's the end of my run-on spiel. Anywho, I'm in a bit of a manic mood today. There's been a lot of good gaming news dropping, like Sonic Origins, Digimon Survive, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm falling down the well of off-topic tangents here. So, Jack Skellington, voiced by Chris Sarandon. Who voices his singing voice in the original film, Spore?
That would be Danny Elfman.
Oh, yes. Works with Tim Burton a lot, so he does. You may remember him from like the Batman films and so on. He also did, I believe, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies in terms of like the soundtracks and whatnot. And at Coachella this year, or Coachella, however you pronounced it, he performed those tunes as well as reprising his role as Jack, the singing voice, for a rendition of This Is Halloween. Boy, when he took his shirt off, he put us all to shame, because he is ripped as fuck and in like his early to mid 60s. What a lad.
Take a container with a lock.
That's actually kind of crazy. Both that he's ripped in his 60s, and it reminds me of a character named Elfman in Fairy Tail, who is also very muscular, so I'm wondering if that might have been an inspiration for that character.
I didn't really happen to notice any characters like that while we were recovering it for patrons, but, you know, Neo was whining about shonen tropes at the time, so I guess I got thrown off a little bit. What do you think about the Halloween costumes here for the lads, mate?
I think they're really cool. Donald missing his entire midriff is a little... disconcerting, I guess is the best way to put it. Sometimes you notice that it's just a black void. Sometimes it's just not there at all. It's really weird to look at.
Came to town just recently.
Yeah, the Heartless just seem to be chilling here. It's like, finally, a town for me.
So, the doctor
this does kind of fit with their aesthetic, yeah. I guess the Search Ghosts really just like it here. Dr. Finkelstein is experimenting, as he does, and trying to control them to get them to work with Jack to dance for Halloween. It's not going well so far.
No, not really.
Hope and despair.
Oh, Ouroboros.
Mix them all together.
I really like this adaptation where they're trying to investigate what makes a heart, as that would come back later in the series as well. But especially in Chain of Memories, where they're basically taking this story and adapting it to memories instead, and finding out what, makes memory for a person, why that's important, and why you can't manufacture memories, I guess.
This is one of the better adaptations in this game, I would say. And it's not because it's faithful, because honestly it's not. This is more of an original take on The Nightmare Before Christmas using established properties. But in terms of, like, character usage and just, like, the story and whatnot, because, obviously we're going to be fighting one of the big Disney villains here, it's pretty great. We wouldn't really get the true adaptation of Nightmare Before Christmas until 2, with Christmas Town and the like.
Which is kind of lackluster in comparison, because Oogie's boss fight in that game is not great at all. One of the worst in KH2, I would honestly say. But, not that he's really that much better in this game, but just the way all the characters are used, like you said, really great adaptation in KH1, examining everything that goes along with hearts and, getting everything to work with Halloween.
Indeed so, mate. Alright, I got behind the voice actors here. Let's have a looky-loo. The Mayor of Halloween Town is voiced in Kingdom Hearts 1 by Jeff Bennett, who is doubling up and also doing other roles, such as Barrel, one of the trio. Funnily enough, I believe Danny Elfman was actually the voice of Barrel in the original film.
He was that voice in the original film, yeah. I was looking on IMDb, and I didn't actually see the name Dr. Finkelstein on there. He's just credited as, I think, Evil Doctor. Did they actually mention him by name in the original film, or is that just a weird thing?
I'm pretty sure they say the term Dr. Finkelstein. I wonder if the Nightmare Before Christmas script is on Google. I'll have a look.
It's just a really strange thing that I noticed. In the realm of things happening in the game, I am using the Spellbinder Keyblade that we picked up last time. So I have a lot of magic now, and so I want to pick up this power-up item to increase my strength to match with it, but I'm also using more stuff that's better for a magic build, like the combo finisher that you see now, which I think is called Ripple Drive.
Ooh.
It's a little weak, but it covers a huge area and will also knock enemies back, so it's definitely good for clearing crowds.
Okay, Jack calls him Doctor, but I'm not really seeing any instance of the name. Oh, wait, yeah, Dr. Finkelstein, to the front of the line. Your Christmas assignment is ready, so the mayor says it.
Oh, alright, yeah. For whatever reason on IMDb, they didn't actually mention his name, so I wonder if that was just a strange thing in the credits or whatever.
This world actually has a special place in my memories, going back to memories again, at least in terms of the original playthrough, because it was so fucking dark. It was one of the times I had to apply a brightness filter back when I was recording with a Dazzle or whatever.
Yeah, again, KH1 and PS2 games in general were really rough with darkness, and this world is all, these really drab, dark colors, which fits the theme, but man, on a PS2, especially if you're using like an old TV, the colors would just be awful. I remember having that problem with my own recordings back then as well.
Is something wrong, Jack?
Sally. Not voiced by the original actress whose name escapes me right now. This is Kath Soucie.
All we need now is your
Who also doubles up in Halloween Town as Shock, and I think Sora's mom, if I remember seeing the credits page correctly.
Huh?
Yeah, a bit strange on that one.
I would love if I went down the list and there was just a big question mark next to Sora's mom.
could beat what I've got planned. Once we give the Heartless a heart, they'll dance just as I envision it.
I really like this fetch quest, again going back to like building all the pieces of a heart. All the stuff is really cool, like Forget-Me-Not is a type of flower and it's used to, stand in for memories and stuff like that. Just really clever things that are done here that make it a great adaptation.
I forget, was this in Recoded?
I don't think it was, no. You had Wonderland, Aladdin, Olympus, and I think there was one more world, but I can't remember it off the top of my head.
You hear
Okay, so Halloween Town was in KH1, Chain of Memories, Days, and 2. It was funny in Days because Jack's just trying to like figure out stuff to do and whatnot, and you have one of the worst bosses in all Kingdom Hearts there.
Leechgrave, yes. I mean, all the Days bosses are pretty bad aside from Infernal Engine, let's be honest. They just have way too much HP. Because I think they were designed for the multiplayer in mind, and so they just end up with so much HP that doing them solo just really doesn't work out well.
Yeah, let's clarify that here. I don't think the design is bad, I don't think like its attack patterns or whatever is bad, it's that it has so much HP, but you're limited, and you're limited to like how many items you can carry thanks to the whole like grid system and whatnot.
Yeah, Days is really limiting in general, in terms of basically everything you can do, because you have that grid system. If you need more magic, you have to take away from other stuff, like increases to strength, or even level ups in some cases, which would come back a little bit in Recoded with their grid system, the CPU grid system, but I feel like it was handled a lot better there. You had a lot more free space, and most of the time you didn't need to get rid of stuff.
It's like I said, like, Days has the story, but the gameplay is kind of lacking. But Recoded has the gameplay hypercharged, but the story is kind of lacking. So, in a bizarre sort of twisted way, they complement each other.
I would say both of them are pretty interesting for having different combo modifiers, I guess, for different Keyblades, so that your attack patterns are a little different, rather than the standard KH1, 1, 2, 3 that you have in like this and Chain of Memories, so props to both games for doing that.
Right.
Days and Recoded have some of my favorite Keyblades to use for that reason.
Yeah, Days has some pretty raw Keyblades, like, oh, I don't know, Unending Agony of the Soul remix. That's not an actual name, but it's getting pretty close.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, so I see you've opted for a purely magical team here, mate.
Yep, going with Donald and Jack. Big on the magic. Goofy at this point's not super great. At this point, he's a lot weaker than most of the party members, because, I mean, his strength doesn't really get good until later, and he doesn't have MP Gift, which is the main thing that makes him really good later on, where he could basically give up his MP to give some to Sora. And your MP is worth a lot more than Goofy's MP in terms of combat.
Yeah, oh, I don't think that scene was meant to be seen at 60 FPS, honestly. Jack's walking animation, even.
I saw that, that was great.
Alright, a little bit of a... I guess you could call this a minigame?
It's a bit of a memory game. The headstones that they pop up from are random. I got 246 there, which is not bad in terms of both being easy to remember and how fast it is, because that's a thing that speedrunners pay attention to, you know, how lucky they get on things like that.
Indeedy so. Whoa! And there we go. Ah yes, the famous dirt hill of yore.
Halloween Town is another one of those worlds in KH1 where there's a whole lot of backtracking. As you can see, we're going back through this room that we've already been in 2 times before now. So you're going back through these same places again and again and again. And it's probably the weakest part of Halloween Town in this game, is just retracing everything over and over. And I wish it wasn't like that. I wish there was quicker paths towards everything, but I mean, I guess they probably couldn't do it in a limited time frame or whatever.
It's such like a small, like densely packed level that I don't mind too much, and they do give you like a few shortcuts back so you can like skip one of the rooms, but I get what you're saying, Mo.
It makes me think of the design in KH2, and a lot of worlds in KH2 are just straight lines, with maybe one room off to a side, and a lot of KH1 worlds have a lot of branching paths to go a bunch of different ways. Like, think about Agrabah in KH1 has all those side rooms just in Agrabah itself, not even counting the Cave of Wonders. In KH2, it's one big area, another big area, and that's it. There's literally just 2 big rooms.
God, this is getting dangerously close to like a Defunct Land sort of presentation here, where we're just discussing layouts and whatnot.
It's things that I think about while, you know, playing games and stuff like that, especially having a bit of experience in speedrunning. You know, layouts of levels and stuff like that is something that comes to mind quite often.
Well, it's very useful when redoing a game that you covered 14 years ago and you need new stuff to talk about, let me tell you what.
Because there's so much backtracking and because I spend a lot of time fighting these enemies that I probably shouldn't have, I take a little bit longer in this world than I should otherwise, have spent here, but it's fine, whatever. There's new enemies showing up at least every time I try to fight them.
Indeedy so, mate. That makes me uncomfortable.
Especially the texture on the hill.
Like, it's meant to be dirt, but it's more like hair, really.
I think the texture was more pronounced in KH2, where it actually, was almost like a record, where you could see it lifted up from the floor as well. So it just made it even more awkward to look at, more unsettling.
Now, when I say it makes me uncomfortable, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. This is Halloween Town. I would like a little bit of scares and hijinks in here, so it's all good.
I guess there is this quick path with the platform that you have to set on fire to go around, because otherwise you would have to take the long way around back through where we had the headstones with the ghosts flying up.
Yeah.
Lighting that thing on fire gives you a quick path, and there's actually another one that takes you back after you go over this hill. In the next area, there's another platform that you can light on fire to come back as well. You're probably not going to make use of it unless you need to backtrack to a save point for whatever reason.
How did you fare with the White Knights and whatnot, mate, when you first played the game? They were some of the more nasty Heartless for me, and young Tom64 definitely struggled a little bit with them and their flailing nature.
Their patterns are so weird, the way they attack and jump around and everything. I end up getting hit by them a lot, especially if I'm playing on Proud, which this run is. They could be a huge problem in the way they attack, because even if you try to block them with a guard, sometimes they'll just hit you anyway, it feels like.
Like, nope, no guard today, nope.
I knew Oogie Boogie was behind this.
It was the note that they left on the floor that said, Oogie Boogie is behind this.
Having not seen the film, I want to ask you a question as you have seen it. How accurate is Oogie's Manor in this game to what it looks like in the film?
Just going off some vague memories I have from rewatching the film a couple of years ago, quite close. People in the comments, feel free to chime in on this one.
Yeah, for sure, because obviously I don't know. It's definitely something that I'm interested in watching at some point. Maybe when it gets around to Halloween or Christmas, or maybe even sooner of that if I get a wild hair. But having never seen it, I just don't know. And Oogie's Manor was actually, in the original Kingdom Hearts 1, a bit, not controversial, I guess is probably the wrong word, but if you missed a red Trinity mark, which was in this room actually,
yep,
and you finished the world and Oogie's Manor disappeared, you could never come back and get that again. And it has a set of Dalmatians in it, so if you missed that, you could not finish the Lost Dalmatian side quest. And fortunately, they moved that that Trinity mark either in Final Mix or in the HD ports. I can't remember which it was. Definitely in this one it's moved so that it appears in this area, and any of the other treasure chests as well will appear in this area after the manor is gone, so you can come back and get them. Great change. I love stuff like that. You know, something to be said for keeping the original vision, or the original version of a world. You know, to keep it authentic to what it originally was. If it's something like that that actively screws with a side quest, you definitely need to change it for sure.
Yeah, that's not artistic vision, that's an oversight. The word you were looking for is infamous, by the way.
Right, I think that is quite the word I was looking for.
Oh, here's another tricky boss. I would say this is where, like, the difficulty starts to ramp up in the game.
For real, like, I'm already about to die here.
Granted, you are playing on Proud, so...
Yeah, these kids are a menace, as one would expect. All of the bosses here, for however many of them you can call bosses, are kind of annoying in their own specific ways. This one I would probably call the worst just in general, because the targets are so small, you can't really see them most of the time, especially with the target reticle on them.
Children are so difficult to engage in combat.
You're also dealing with a really tiny room, so the camera's like, you know, going crazy all over the place. You can't tell what's happening. And even if you do want to jump around, there's a big chandelier in the middle, so that you can't even do like air combos to try to knock him out of the air or anything.
Oh, hey, he took his mask off. Neat.
Yeah, they all take their masks off once you defeat them in the middle of the fight. It's kind of hard to tell because you're focusing on the next one that you want to take down, though.
Yeah, for sure. And what does Oogie want with this heart, per se? I guess we'll have to wait and find out. The plot's just not going to reveal itself to me, I suppose.
Another thing you want to make sure you do is hit that lever, because if you don't do that, a door will actually remain closed, preventing you from reaching Oogie Boogie, and you'll have to climb all the way back up here to get to it. Plenty of times that I have forgotten to do that. And had to, you know, you go all the way down to the bottom where the room is, and it says currently locked off, and you just go, oh no, what have I done?
I've done that once or twice, so don't worry, mate. That's not an oversight, that is game design.
I think if you speak to the kids again in that room, they'll tell you what the lever does. So, you know, that's on you, I guess, if you miss it, I suppose. This is another one of those weird cutscenes because it goes from a text box into a voiced scene, and it's just the one text box. That's always been strange to me. I don't understand why they couldn't record that one voice line.
They ran out of budget explicitly at that moment and then got more budget.
So Oogie's entire reason for going after this heart was so that he could control the Heartless, which means he didn't have control of them to begin with. I guess Maleficent didn't trust him with that power, as opposed to, like, Hades or Jafar.
She thinks Oogie is a fucking tool. Like, you've seen Kingdom Hearts 2.
For real? Yeah. You got a fair point. I mean, I wouldn't trust him with the power either. Even when he does get it, he only summons these two little gargoyles.
Indeed. So this is actually the original voice of Oogie, Ken Page, and he does as wonderful a job here as he did it in the original film. But why don't you take us through the boss fight a little bit, Spur?
Alright, so once you take out the two enemies that spawn, you'll have these things that light up on the floor, and you gotta hit them, and it opens up a path to you to actually get to Oogie. Here, I'm showing off the Genie summon because I said I was going to show them off, and Genie is actually really good for this fight because he can hit Oogie even when you don't have the platform leading up to him, so it can be really helpful here. The problem with Genie is that all of his damage is random.
Right.
The damage that he does is dependent on the color orbs that he shoots, and so you've got to like hope basically that you get lucky, I guess is the best way to put it.
Nice, nice.
For those wondering, the blue orbs do the most damage.
Okay. Well, I mean, color matching. It works.
For those dice that he throws out, if they are not glowing, you can knock them back at him, and it will automatically make the thing on the floor appear so that you can get an attack on him quicker. Unfortunately, parrying in this game is hard, and so I missed it back there.
I specifically remember attacking those dice in the Chain of Memories in order to get 0 cards.
I like the 0 cards and the Mickey gimmick cards that they add in Rechain of Memories that basically emulate more of, you know, what the KH1 fight is like in a lot of cases. Like making a floating platform to avoid stuff in Dragon Maleficent, or, you know, something to reach Darkseid and that fight. Not that those are emulative of how it was in this game, but, you know, just things that make the fight a little bit easier, I guess is a way to put it.
Wow, that was a lot of level ups.
Don't know if I'm under-leveled at this point. I figured I was over-leveled in Agrabah, but maybe I didn't grind enough between recordings. Maybe this fight with Oogie just gives a ton of XP, and oh, holy shit, please no, get them away.
That feel when you shit bugs and die. Surely a relatable topic for TikTok.
For any social media.
Not gonna crush it? No?
And it transitions back to another text box cutscene with Jack. Did they just not bring him back in to record those voice lines for this part? That's weird.
Who knows, mate? Who knows?
But of course, as we all know, Oogie's not dead for good. There's more to come, and it's even more awkward than that fight was.
Sort of. I sort of agree, but the rawness of it kind of counteracts that awkwardness.
I distinctly remember one time when I played through this game back on PS2, I actually left this area because you can just go back to the previous area and leave Halloween Town at this point while the manor's there. Left from here, or maybe I just did Neverland first before coming here in general, so I had glide in this fight, which made it so much easier.
Wow. Just the idea of like Halloween Town walling off this place and Oogie's just stuck there, not able to do anything because I'm a fucking house.
So we've got to attack these dark globs here, and despite the prompt showing up there, I don't recommend Sonic Blade on these tiny little platforms. It's not going to work well.
No, not at all. So Spawn's basically just told you how to beat the boss, and we're just going to go around defeating these dark orbs. So I decided to look up some films from Touchstone Pictures that were distributed theatrically by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures and through home media platforms by Buena Vista Home Entertainment. That was at the time branded as Touchstone Home Entertainment. Thank you. I can also read a wiki, much like Richie. Some of these could be good picks for Kingdom Hearts. I'm going to start with the best one. Pearl Harbor.
I don't know that adapting real-life events that started wars is a great way to go for Kingdom Hearts, though.
Okay, Sweet Home Alabama.
Also probably not the best choice due to not having a whole lot of combat conflict potential.
Sister Act?
I could see that one being like a musical world, if it's the one that I'm thinking of.
Okay, actual, like, non-joking answer now. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh, for sure, that would definitely be a good one.
Could probably actually work well in Quadratum, where, you know, Mickey and whatnot are fictional characters.
Doesn't Mickey appear in Who Framed Roger Rabbit for like 2 seconds? If I remember correctly, or am I thinking of something else?
No, you're thinking correctly, but it wasn't 2 seconds, it was more like 10 seconds. As did Bugs Bunny and so on. It was the Kingdom Hearts of its day, honestly.
Yeah, that's another one that we should watch, honestly. It's been so long since I've seen that. Definitely throw that on the movie list. This playthrough has been great for the movie list, let's be honest.
It really has. Oh, this is one of the more sick keyhole sealing animations of the game.
Oh, I love this one. I wish more of them were as cool as this.
Just like bounce it off the moon. Clack. That's the sound of a thing closing.
And that little indention in the ground there is where the extra treasure chest that you missed will go as well. And we picked up an upgrade to gravity, and if you never went back and did some of the Olympus Cups earlier, this would actually be your first
Sally,
gravity spell that
why
you
didn't I
received.
listen to you?
I got it a lot earlier because I went back and did the Phil Cup.
Nice.
Halloween. Next time, we'll do it together.
Just let me do all the shopping next time. Got it?
Give Sally all the design tasks. I mean, she's the one that makes the costumes, so
Yeah, she is.
that's basically what happens.
She's an enabler, essentially. But you know what isn't? Pumpkinhead. Because Pumpkinhead is one of the best Keyblades in the game until Oblivion.
Yeah, it's really good. Good strength. Probably not the best for magic. I think I might switch to it in the next part. I can't remember what I end up using in the next world, but I guess we'll have to see when we get there. One last run through the city to get back to the save point. Any last words?
This is Halloween. This is Halloween. Watch it Halloween or Christmas, whatever it takes your fancy. See you next time.